Hi everyone, all you YouTubers out there, welcome to the channel and episode 2 of the chat show for anything middle gear. You know, we have Maurizio, we have Jules, we have a guy that thought he'd kick off episode 1 by actually not turning up to episode 1. But he's here this time. Brad, say hi to everyone.
Yeah, I figured, where I kind of missed out on the first episode, I'll kick things off here if everyone's cool with that. So again, hello everyone. So today I think we're going to dive right into a debate that every single European car enthusiast has encountered, and especially us Mercedes and AMG owners. So that faces the second something needs replacement. So the common question, go genuine OE or versus OEM parts? So definitely a little bit of heated debate. So I'm very interested to see what the other members here have their thoughts on. And so we'll kind of discuss, like, what do those letters actually mean? Are we just paying extra for that little three-pointed star or that fancy box? Or is there a genuine difference in quality under the hood? So I think we should kind of take that on and break it down and see what we come to for a conclusion.
That sounds good.
So I know, I'm sure you guys know this as well, but for any viewers out there, we'll talk about the actual meaning. So OEM, it stands for Original Equipment Manufacturer. So this is the company that actually built the part, or often supplying it directly to Mercedes-Benz or any other manufacturer on an assembly line. So thinking of names like Bosch, Brembo, MAN, these are all OEM manufacturers that supply parts to the automotive companies. So we'll kick off. What do you guys think on this topic?
I have got a very personal interest in this because it's coming to me doing my brakes on my SLC 43, and I'll put up on the screen, in a moment for the viewers. But basically, for me to have done all my discs and all my pads with genuine Mercedes parts, the cost was just under £900. However, you then realise that the brakes, especially on the front, are all Brembo, like with the Mercedes pads, and actually come posted with Brembo written on them. So for me to do all of the brakes, discs and pads with Brembo, it came in at about 300 and something. Now, to me, I don't feel too bad about that because I know the original equipment on the car is just rebadged Brembo stuff. So, for me, exactly, I'm happy to do that. And also on the SLC, when it comes to the air filters, Mercedes won about, I think it's just under 80 quid for the 2 air filters, but they're actually Mahle. And the Mahle ones I can get for about £36 for the 2. So in situations where I know definitely that the part is made by another company, personally I would go with the other company and the cheaper way in. I appreciate that if your car's under warranty with Mercedes, you can't do that, but mine's out of warranty now, so at least I'm keeping to the same spec. I think for me, what is a bit of a I don't know where I stand with is if I'm replacing genuine Mercedes parts with a brand that actually isn't the company that made part for Mercedes. I don't know where I stand with that. Don't know. That's my view on it.
Yeah, it's definitely a great point you made there, Shane. I went through a very similar situation, talking about brakes on the C63. So it was about the first year of ownership with that. The vehicle was about 8 years old. It was time for some new pads and rotors. And I got a quote up from Mercedes, local dealership. And yeah, the price was a little scary. It was coming in just over $5,000. It was insane. Yeah, it was. And then with labor, it was pushing like 8,000 Canadian. So, I was thinking there has to be a better way. So I did some research, and like you said yourself, the actual pads are stamped Brembo, the rotors are Brembo 2-piece, and I found a supplier through Brembo that would sell the exact part number, the same part, for significantly cheaper. So it's when you come into the discussion of when it's the exact same part, I do 100% agree with you. I think it's a safe method to go with, and still keeping that quality and that quality that we all love with the brand.
I would probably go a step beyond that, if you allow me.
Go, Jules. Go, Jules.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Well, we are talking brake pads and rotors, so that's something that I went through. And you actually can buy three things. You can buy from Mercedes, and it's original part. You can buy OEM, which is what we are discussing, or you can buy a fitting part from the same manufacturer to slightly different specs. And when it's coming to brakes, this is what I've done. I had to change my pads multiple times because of a leak that had polluted my pads, and it just so happens that I had done my brakes with Brembo parts. Then I had it redone by Mercedes, and they fitted Mercedes pads on the same rotors. And then I figured that, yeah, they're nice. They don't put as much dust on the wheels as the Brembo ones, but they don't break as much. And in the end, I went for the dust and for the Brembo performance part. So it's a slightly different compound. It doesn't meet the requirements of Mercedes. It doesn't have an OEM part, even though it's a fitting part and it's clearly stated, compatible with blah, blah, blah. And in the end, I'm a pretty happy camper, and I'm running overall Brembos, front and back, rotors and pads. And I have to say I'm very happy, up to the point where my model takes solid discs, and I will probably be taking floating Brembos, and that'll still be cheaper than replacing everything with original Mercedes. Even if I buy the parts original Mercedes myself, even if I do the work, not mentioning the dealers, but even if I do everything myself, going for uprated Brembos would still be cheaper than original Mercedes, and I'm actually happier with the result.
Yeah.
But that's a personal feeling. And then, yes, I have dirty wheels, but they're black wheels anyway, so who cares?
I have a dumb question, guys. I mean, I'm a finance person, and I need to rationalize why the markup from Mercedes is just so high. And I guess it's not just the Mercedes thing. I think all the major brands do that, right? So I understand that if you have a captive market, you have more power to impose a higher price and higher margin. I get that, but we're talking often about 2 times, 3 times, maybe 4 times the price of just going straight to the producer and getting that part. So what gives? I mean, are we missing something, or they think we're all dumb?
I mean, you guys go, but I have a take on that one. I mean, you're feeding the whole food chain when you buy from the dealer, and you're cutting part of it when you're going straight to the manufacturer. So that's number one. Number two, if you buy OEM spec or actually original part, you buy it with a guarantee. It's a guarantee that it fits, it's a guarantee that it does the job, and it's a guarantee that if anything goes wrong, they will actually replace the part because it's been fitted by a dealer using an MB part, blah, 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 and all of that good stuff. Plus, you will notice that there's a certain price going for new parts for new cars, but after 10 or so years, most of the parts are available through Mercedes Star parts instead of Mercedes brand new parts or whatever original parts. So it's actually the same thing. It's just that they have a slightly different brand for older cars. And then interestingly, the Star parts begin to cost pretty much around the same price as OEM. So I think it has to do with the food chain and the guarantees that goes with the labor. But we can take our own risks as adults.
I think for me is, for Mercedes parts in particular, you get a 1-year guarantee. Whereas, for instance, like Brembo and Febi, for instance, which Febi make very good quality parts. So usually 2 OE spec and sometimes even better, but they give 3 years as well. So the guarantee side of it, I'm not too sure about. And also when you compare companies like the VAG group, Volkswagen Audi group, they'll make a part for a Skoda, a Volkswagen, Audi and Bentley, and the Bentley part that fits in the same car as the Skoda will be 3 times the price, and yet it's the VAG group that actually made that part. So for me, they're clearly fleecing people because of the brand name, the badge. But, you know, on the other side of this as well, I have heard in particular from Porsche guys that, you know, you'll get Brembo brakes on a Porsche, and their argument is, yes, but the Brembo brakes that you buy from Brembo, they're not the same. I don't know how much truth there is in that. I don't know if there's a quality difference when they're sold via Porsche as to when they're sold directly from Brembo. I can't see why that would be, but that's what a lot of the Porsche guys say. Is that true in my case?
I could, on this one, I'd like to pick up, Shane, if you're allowed.
Go for it.
It's very interesting. At my dealer, which is an AMG Performance Center, they picked up instantly that I was using Brembo brakes just by looking at my wheels. And how did they do that? It's fairly simple. There's a slight difference in quality, and that slight difference is when you get the solid discs from Mercedes, they corrode pretty quickly because they don't have like the shiny, expensive treatment that goes on the rotor. And if you buy from Brembo, because they like their brand to look like it looks better and it's nice and everything, they have the coating anyway. So all of them have the coating. And so my dealer was able to say, oh, you have the Brembo brakes, simply by looking at my rotors because they simply weren't corroded. And I think it's an interesting thing. And they know, and they understand why people would actually go and buy OEM. The other thing which I wanted to pick up on is, I said guarantee or warranty. It's more subtle than that. If you have a brand new car, or if you have a car under warranty from the manufacturer and you fit non-manufacturer parts in it and something, pardon my French, fucks up, this is when they're going to say, oh, yes, sure, you have a problem with the fuel line, but that's because you fitted the wrong brake pads at the rear. And they're going to tell you, oh, no, we're not going to take this under warranty.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. But that's why I was saying, for me, when my car's not under warranty, and for me, it just made common sense that, you know, if the part is Mahle or if the part is Brembo, why would I pay just because it's got, you know, the Mercedes tax on it, basically? I get what you're saying about Mercedes star parts. I have seen that. And even more importantly, you can actually quite a lot of the time get a lot of these parts on eBay, even cheaper, directly from Mercedes dealerships that are selling them cheaper.
Absolutely. Because there are no restrictions on those parts, because they're intended for 10-plus-year-old cars where Mercedes doesn't have the obligation to maintain a parts inventory anymore. So it's made on goodwill, and the more they sell, the more they will continue making for everyone's benefit.
Yeah.
And one thing I do want to mention to some of the viewers, I know you mentioned on eBay you can actually buy Mercedes genuine parts. You just want to be very careful on that. I know I've bought Mercedes parts directly from dealerships on eBay. You want to definitely make sure you vet the seller, because there is actually a lot of counterfeit Mercedes genuine parts online.
Yes.
They come in the box, they have the hologram stickers, but they actually aren't genuine parts. So just be very cautious of that for any viewers out there that may start looking at that option.
Look
for
at that
parts.
vendor, Brad. You're absolutely right. And no, a lot of good about the Chinese, but when it's coming from China and it looks brand new and perfect and it's a tenth of the price, there is something wrong.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Should I push a little bit more on OEM? Because actually, so disclaimer, my car is more than 10 years old. I couldn't care less about the original manufacturer's warranty because it's long gone now. And I couldn't care less about using original Mercedes parts if there is an equivalent as good or better part for the job. And my approach to cars, and you guys might know this from now, is called stage zero. Stage zero is a principle where you will redo your car and bring it back to, as much as possible, original factory specifications or better. And the whole thing is in the or better. And for that part, so C63, M156, all of the known issues like warm start rattle after 100 plus thousand kilometers, all of those small things. So there are manufacturers, dealers, ex-owners that have actually devised parts that do the job and probably do it better than the original part. So, for example, the phasers, no names, but I went with a well-known Canadian dealer and I would say tuner as well, but that essentially made the upgraded parts for themselves and found out that they were just so good that they were going to sell it to everyone else. And that's what I bought, and I'm a very happy camper. And I could actually, by fitting them, actually see why those parts were actually better than the original design. Likewise, C63, especially on the station wagon, has pretty stiff springs at the back and is known for being bouncy unless you have like the even stiffer springs from the P31 or whatever, the performance version. And even then, you would end up changing the shocks quite often. So Stage Zero went shopping around. For the price of original Mercedes parts, I could actually get a superb kit from another manufacturer that would do all fours with coilovers and adjustable shocks. And I thought, give it a try. And I gave it a try, and I'm actually very, very, very happy. So it's an upgrade over the original, and it handles, in my humble opinion, much better. And it's about the same price as the original. So make your own choices, go for original and keep it 100% original with original parts, and put up with some of the known, I wouldn't say defects, but some of the known limitations of the choices that were made by the manufacturer at the time, or make it slightly better and enjoy it better all year round. My choice.
Yeah, it's true about that, because like with the Brembo brakes on my SLC, the pads, they actually do an upgraded pads that have a red backing on them, and they're full ceramic. And therefore, if you want to take your car on a racetrack, because they will give better performance, I presume. So, you know, in that particular case, and bearing in mind, so just rough figures, for the rear brake pads on the SLC, Mercedes wanted about £150 for the set at the back. These upgraded Brembo ones, which are better spec, and as I say, are ceramic brake pads, they came in at about £65. So knowing that Brembo was used anyway on my car, and then Brembo do an upgraded set of pads for better performance, to me it's a no-brainer. You know, I would go for the Brembo. But yeah, it's a really good subject actually, and it can be full of minefields as well. So yeah.
Look, we love our cars, right? Particularly the AMGs. They create these feelings of passion. But we need to realize that all cars are compromises. They're built to a budget. And so it's not that what you get is the best possible version of that car. I mean, one thing is the transmission. On my A35, the transmission can take so much more torque than it's actually produced by the engine. Yeah. So it's like, well, then why not upgrade the engine to match what the rest of the car can deliver? So yeah, I think with that mindset, it becomes a lot easier to choose non-Mercedes parts, but it needs a little bit of a change of mindset from some buyers.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right there. Honestly, it's one of those things. And you mentioned earlier your question on like, why do people pay that extra price 3-4 times heavier price over OEM options? It's one of those things. I still have people argue to this day that OEM parts are 100% different than what you're getting genuine OE parts from the dealer, and it's funny. I've talked about it on my own channel and so many times, and shown actual prime examples. Pulling, whether it's a serpentine tensioner, a belt tensioner, or idler pulleys, anything like that. I recently just replaced a tensioner on my father's W211 E-Class, and I pulled that off, the original part for that car, and was replacing it with a Litton's or Gates belt tensioner. and the OEM part literally had the same spot where the Mercedes logo would be and the part number, and it was ground down flush. So it's the exact same. You compare it to the one I pulled off the car, and side by side you can see the original one had the star and the logo. This one was ground off, and funny to say, sometimes you'll even see on the original parts or the genuine OE parts that are coming off the vehicle, sometimes will still actually have the manufacturer logo on it. So for instance, this one actually still had the Litton's manufacturer company name right on the Mercedes part. So it's hard to argue when you see those two parts side by side. They're identical. Even the OE part has the original manufacturer logo on it. You know, I think
as
that
we
kind
said,
of
it doesn't have the logo, so something fucks up. Because the car is under warranty, and this is going to look like for an excuse not to carry any repairs under warranty, and they're going to tell you, oh, it doesn't have the logo, so no replacement.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, 100%. If for anybody out there that is dealing with vehicles still under warranty, yeah, I mean, you're kind of under different regulations there, especially depending where you are in the world. You know, in Canada it's slightly different, but really we have the right to repair our vehicles here. I know different countries are a little bit different, and you're a little more strict with the warranty and the wording on that. But even so, even with the so-called right to repair here in Canada, you're 100% right. It's if you put something that's not directly bought from the dealer on there, they can argue it, and at the end of the day, who are you going to fight with? They're the ones making the decision if they're going to warranty the part. So you're 100% right. You got to be very careful if your vehicle's under warranty. Thankfully, I guess for me, and none of my vehicles are. So
Yeah.
I guess that's the point.
good or bad, I guess. I don't know which way that goes.
Well,
But
on the flip side, if you start going with classic cars, which is where my CLK is sitting more or less now, it's becoming more complicated. It's actually the chase for that original MD part is going to be so difficult.
Yeah.
I remember what I had. The cars that I have bought had a missing little plastic part that is supposed to hold one of the parts of the roof together in the trunk, and it's like a super basic, simple plastic part. And I looked for it. It has a part number. I had two. One was missing. Can't find it. It's not built anymore, not available. And if you try to build your own with 3D printing, the difficulty is that it doesn't hold up because it's made out of a particularly stiff plastic. And my only choice was actually to find one from a braking company that actually had those parts available, going for quite a steep price for a stupid piece of cheap $1 plastic. So the wheel turns, and after 20 plus years, when the easy parts are still available, then the more complicated parts that eventually break become very difficult to find. And that's where you're trying to go back to Mercedes, and that's where that I would keep for another session. That's where it's interesting to see that 15, 20 years ago, Mercedes has sold all of their classic parts inventory to a German company, Kienle, somewhere in Germany, and they bought them back a few years back to actually put together MB Classic. And they bought them back not because they bought the business, they actually bought the parts.
Interesting. Yeah, so that's really interesting stuff regarding OEM and OE. Anything else to bring to the table, anyone?
Well, complete different subject here, but it was curious to me that over the last few weeks, we essentially had a release of the full family of the new electric GT 4-door car. So we have the 63, which is what they started with, the 55 and the 53. And for those that may not be so familiar with the numbering, MG doesn't make it easy because they sometimes switch things around. But over the last few years, the 63 is the top of the line offering with a big roaring V8 and lots of performance and aggressive and all that. The 55 cars usually have the same V8 but slightly tuned, more meant to be perhaps a daily driver. And the 53s usually use a different drivetrain, maybe the inline six. It's been popular lately. And basically the entry level into that level of car, that sort of type of car. So what was interesting to me is that they're keeping the numbering, and clearly there's a performance difference. The 53 has 400 kilowatt of power. The 55 has got 600, the 63 over 800, right? Crazy numbers. They don't even show you the torque numbers because they're just nuts. But I think it's fair to say that if you drove a 55 versus a 53 versus 63, you would feel you're driving a very different car. I'm not entirely sure that a EV would feel a whole lot different other than just being faster. Like the nature of the car, what it gives back to you, you're just changing the power. There's nothing else that changes. But when you're driving a highly tuned V8 car versus maybe an inline six, the performance is different. It's a whole experience with the car is different. So
Yeah.
I'm a little bit curious. Is this going to work commercially? Does that make sense?
I'll start by dropping the bomb. I think yesterday, Wirtschaftswoche, pardon my German, one German business magazine announced that Porsche will cancel the Taycan,
Yes.
which is electric powertrain, 100%. And actually, the funny thing is, the AMG CEO is coming from Porsche with that Taycan background. So they've essentially just hired now the guy who just got his previous job canceled. So I find that quite interesting. So that's the bomb on the EV powertrains that I thought it was nice to see how it blasts and what's the fallout from the whole thing. But back to what you were saying, since we're talking AMG, the funny thing is, so you have an EV53, it will actually pipe in the sound of the six-cylinder, not the V8.
Is that you know that for a fact?
Yes, get the CLA 45 pipes the noise of the four-cylinder.
Interesting.
So that's the funny part. So it will sort of fake the equivalent gasoline engine.
I'm waiting for the 53 and the 55 to be hacked so that they can software change it to become a 63. I reckon that's possible. It's all done electronically. It's all controlled electronically. So, let's reprogram and get a 53.
Let's reprogram that S Plus mode and see what happens.
I mean, there may be differences with the batteries used, and and I should have read up, but there may be an additional battery on the 63. But a lot of it is software, I agree.
It's software and specifications. My understanding is that the higher grade batteries get into the 63, and those that are good enough for the 55 get into the 55, and that still works in the sense that they will discharge maybe not as fast, not as frequently, but that's good enough for a slightly less powerful car. So my understanding is essentially this one. They when they manufacture the batteries, they have different grades of batteries, and the top grade will actually go into the top grade cars.
Do they all have the same number of electric motors?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I do think the 63 has an extra one at the front.
I thought I read that somewhere. Is that the 63 I think has an extra electric motor compared to the other variants, which is also interesting to look at.
We have to live with electric AMGs for a while. They're not going to go away, right? And my question is, as the brand positioned the cars the right way, now we have the CLA 45 as well, which frankly, the performance is astonishing on paper at least. I don't know, it seems a little bit of brand dilution, you know what I mean?
I got really excited with the 53 and the figure that it's coming out at. In the UK, it starts from 103,000. And I thought, yeah, that's really cool. But then it made me think, well, who on earth is going to want to pay 70 to 75k for the CLA 45? The CLA 45, let's face it, is the entry level as things go. and then just for 25k more, I can go and get, or 30k more, I can go and get one of the flagship GTs. I don't get it. I mean, that to me says that the CLA 45 needs to realistically be priced at around about 50 to 60k. That's how I feel about it, because I just can't see why people would even bother with the CLA 45 if you can go straight to a GT. Am I wrong in that thinking? I don't know.
Let's hear it from finance.
I mean, £30,000 is still a lot of money. But, I mean,
it is, but most of these people are going to buy it on, high purchase and that, which when you average it over a monthly payment, you're probably looking at about £100 extra.
I would actually ask the question the other way around. Like, if you're getting essentially even better performance for 30,000 less, who would buy the GT53? Just buy the CLA 45, get all the performance you want. Maybe you don't get full leather, whatever other cool options the GT gets, but get the job done, no?
Well, you get the 4-pot sound instead of 6-cylinder.
You just download that MP3 file and change that. I mean, that's
there. You go.
An OE MP3 file, though, right? Not OEM.
Yeah, there'll be the accessories coming on to buy now.
I don't know. I think it's quite cool that they've got these different engine, if you want to call them that, lineups in the GT EV, or should I say software maps in the GT lineup. But I think at the same time, I can't help thinking it's kind of made the CLA 45 a bit sort of like, is it really worth it? From my point of view, if people had a choice, you wouldn't buy an A-Class, you'd buy an S-Class, the top of the level. But maybe I'm wrong in that. Maybe there is a section out there that actually want a smaller car and are happy with the A series. So interesting, though.
I mean, the A45 is a lot of fun to drive.
It is.
So it appeals to a different crowd, and it works more like a little GTI car than a big front-engined AMG. So it's a different feeling. It's a very well-made car, but it's competing in a different market.
But the CLA is not an A45. The CLA is a 4-door saloon, basically, which is exactly the same as what the GT 4-door is. That's what I'm saying. It's the same.
Yeah, it's a 4-seater. Both of them are 4-seaters, but there are some size differences.
But the CLA has grown in size, to be fair. It has got a bit fatter and heavier.
Correct.
Put a few pounds on, for sure.
Yeah.
With the batteries.
So this is what I'm saying. To me, that it's almost like they're almost the same, really.
Yeah, and if you think about it, then that means there's not going to be any electric D, electric E, because even in the price point, what do? You do a C at 80,000, an E at 90,000, then you have the GT at 100,000. It just seems a bit over the top.
It does. And that's the thing. It's the price brackets are just. It's not working. I think the CLA 45 has to be a lot less than 70,000 to even make it a worthwhile thing. Because as you said, you've got other series. You've got a B. Well, I never did a B class, but whatever. As in regards an AMG, but they certainly did a C and they certainly did an E. Where are they going to fit in financially? And I can't understand that they would really be. There's not people out there that are going to quibble over 10,000 difference between each series. So.
I'd be interested to look at the cost of a lease, because most of those cars are going to go as a lease, not as a straight purchase. And lease is based on estimated value, resale value after 3 years, 5 years, and it would be interesting to see which one of the two keeps the highest value in a percentage compared to the original cost. So if you have a budget for say 500 a month and you want to lease one of such cars, it might be a step to actually go to say 700. Actually the prices are different, but I'm just making an example here. It might actually be a step on your budget to actually lease the bigger GT, because the financing wouldn't work. And again, because most of the sales now are done through financing rather than a straight purchase.
Yeah. But then on that note, GTs hold their, well, I say ICE GTs, you know, EVs is a different ball game, but GTs do hold a bit more value than an A-Class. Do you know what I mean?
There you go.
So realistically, the better financial deal, even on lease, would be the GT. So that's what I'm saying.
Too. That's what I would think too. But
you know,
I'm saying I'd like to see the price of a lease
yeah,
to actually give you a real evaluation whether, you know, are we mad going with the CLA when we could get a GT?
yeah. But and bearing in mind that they're both EVs, and we've seen how the market has gone with EVs, both of them are going to bottom out big time. You know, you'll probably in 3 years' time be able to get this new GT53 for something like 40 to 50k. It's going to be very interesting.
That's where the numbers don't add up for the financing, and so the lease should be pretty high. But I agree with you. We're going to pick them up for pretty cheap. I mean, the one that I'm waiting for is the C63 hybrid. The C63 that had everyone crying because it had a 4-pot. I think it'll bottom out another 2 or 3 years. It'll be really dirt cheap.
Yeah, I was just going to mention, like, I think you're right. The price value, like, they're not going to hold their value, at least here in Canada, based off other manufacturers of electric vehicles. Like, they really do drop off heavily. I mean, especially as they age, everybody's so afraid of battery longevity. Again, especially in Canada, we have extreme swings of temperatures. So it's the degradation of the battery. It's still a lot of unknowns for many manufacturers. So it's going to be interesting to see how the AMG kind of battles that deflation. The other interesting, like, I think the biggest issue, like you guys are talking about the price points, and they're so close to each other. I think it comes down to the kind of the dilution, like having 4 different GT models. It's just diluting that to have a wider range of price points, which I'm sure they're maybe thinking that's gonna attract different, you know, financial levels of buyers. But again, it comes into the complication of, if they are so close from the CLA to the GT, if you're talking 15, 20,000, maybe a lot of people are just going to buy the GT. So at the end of the day, the CLA might be irrelevant. So I think they might be making some mistakes having so many different models of basically the same car, and you know, having a different electronic map put on it. It's kind of interesting to see how this will all play out for sure.
I'm aware that maybe the company car side of things helps, you know, with a car being 100,000 as opposed to 160,000 even. It's got to be a bit easier for it to be used as a company car. How many people are going to buy a GT as a company car, I'll never know, but you know, there could be that side.
Well, GT 4-door 53 maybe.
Yeah, because it is a decent, you know, price level for tax reasons and that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, here, for example, in Japan, you're seeing a lot of EQ class cars coming on the market, both normal Mercedes and AMGs, and I tell you, nobody's snatching those cars.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's same here in Canada. The EQ series lineup was an absolute failure.
Yeah.
It's not AMG related, but a couple of weeks ago, I went to the launch in Japan of the Ferrari Luce, right, the first Ferrari EV, and talking to the dealer, I got to see the car. We could have thoughts on the car, but what was very interesting, the dealer said the full allocation worldwide allocation for 2026 was done. Japan is the second biggest market for that car, and it comes with a humongous price point, right? So of course, it's dealing in a different market compared to the GT 4-door electric, just on price basis and badge, let's be honest. But maybe you're right, Shane. Maybe the GT is a stunning success, and I hope it is, but not because I want to see more EVs, but because it's good for the company, and hopefully some of that money will go into making V8s and maybe take even that V12 that they only give to Pagani into, you know, an SL65 or something. You know, that'd be nice.
Yeah, and the thing is, with the Ferrari EV, it's quite interesting when you look at the people that have actually now had time with the car driving it. It's very positive. They're all saying it drives really good. And interestingly, I think it was the Top Gear or BBC, the one that reviewed the car said that it actually felt like a Ferrari. And I thought that was quite interesting. It's an EV car, looks nothing like a Ferrari, and yet he'd come out of it saying it felt, what now I've driven it, it felt like a Ferrari. Very interesting.
But Shane, for $600,000, it better drive like a damn Ferrari. You know what I mean?
They might also be afraid to say anything negative. They get that lawyer summon letter from Ferrari too. I don't know.
It'd be great. You spend $600,000, and then it drives like a Toyota. Like, come on.
Imagine.
Right?
Okay, what about your AMG party trick? Well, guys, it's been emotional. We'll end this chat. We'll put this chat into park, and we'll put it in the garage, and look forward to episode 3. Thanks, guys. Thanks, all YouTube viewers. See you next time.
Thanks, everybody.